I'm an addict, alcoholic. April Fools.
Good job, girl.
Yeah, that was kind of stunning, but I'm gonna go with it. My name's Angie, and I'm a grateful addict in recovery. My speech is very scripted. I have to write it down. My brain works a certain way, and if I get triggered, it will follow it, and I'll get stuck. So it's written down. I want to start by saying there are many triumphs in my story, but there's some really, really huge tragedies. And if you have any triggers for any kind of abuse of any kind, please get a hold of your support group or talk to your sponsor after this meeting. Ooh.
You got this.
All right. As I look across this room, I see many familiar faces. Some of them I've known for a short time. Some of them I've known my whole life. Some of them I've known just 15 or 16 years. Whew. What most of you don't know, in particular the people who have only known me for 16 years, is that 6 months before I met you, I had, by the grace of my higher power and the federal marshals, I had escaped from a relationship that had me held, conditioned, brainwashed, raped, beaten. I was forced to watch other women have that happen to them. My daughter had to watch that happen to me. Eventually, that happened to my daughter in front of me, and I have a daughter who's a product of that. Woo! When you think about that kind of thing, you think about what a person has to go through. How do they get to that place in their life? How does that happen? Ooh. I was born in Portland, Oregon, 1977.
Woo! Yeah.
St. Benny's Hospital in Aloha. And we moved to West Side Orchards, Five Corners in 1978. I had parents who were college graduates. My dad was a laser printer operator and a computer programmer, and my mom was an accountant here at the hospital and the health department. They made really good money. They we went to our church 3 days a week. They volunteered. They gave to charity. They were what they were. I don't know how to say that, but they were what they were. When I was young, something really bad happened to me. I don't really know what that is, and I'm never going to find out. I don't follow that path, but it was bad. I begin to exhibit the symptoms of the things that happens to someone that goes through that. I had night terrors, and I began to self-harm at a very young age. I was 5, and I was burning myself. My parents, they didn't know what to do. I mean, they told me that I was doing those things on purpose. I had no reason to be doing those things. That I was just trying to get something from them, that it was all for attention. When I was, and I tell you, it was a whole system failed, not just my parents. It was my school, my doctors, everyone. I ate, I I was being babysat by a really nice lady, and her husband was a police officer here in Vancouver. And eventually, he ran the jail here. And at 8, mind you, I told his kids about sexual stuff. And my parents found out because kids tell. And this police officer and his lovely wife and my parents made me apologize to him and his wife. Never questioning why an 8-year-old would know all about that. Never questioning my parents or anything because they were who they were. In the 80s, there was nothing. I mean, if you had money, the running joke in my family, this is the mentality of that age. The running joke in my family was that my babysitter's son had threatened to take the doll's head off my doll if I didn't do fellatio to him. And that was the joke in my family. At this time and age, they had those friends that they were like, yo, we gotta keep that person away from the kids. We know all about him, but, it's okay if he's still around. Whew. I'm gonna get lost, sorry. This is what I talk about following a trigger. Sorry.
No. You're good, Angie.
I know. I'll find it. It's in these moments that I find myself little, talking to that person inside me that's scared. Okay. Let me get settled, folks. Okay. Here we go. It was at 9 that I began to drink. Right after that time where I was made to apologize. Wanting something different, wanting to feel different, not knowing at any point what was wrong with me. Thinking, obviously, that I had chosen. My self-harm increased, my terror increased. The tone of my parents was I was gross and still a disgusting person. Thinking those thoughts and telling me that those thoughts of any kind of thing like that was coming from me. At 11, I was visiting my aunt. My whole family was there. I'm the youngest of 32 grandchildren. My cousin Jeff, who's a rockin' dude, he's a good guy, was putting a blanket over me. And I got scared. I woke up in the middle of the night. So I tell my sister, hey, I think something's going on. She says, nothing's going on, you're crazy. Please go lay back down. I'm not going to do anything. Okay. I get up, still scared. I tell my mom and dad. My mom and dad tell my aunt. My aunt is livid. She screams at me. She takes every one of the 14 cousins out on the sidewalk, proceeds to make me apologize. Because I'm disgusting. And I'm making lies up. And I have something wrong with me. Ooh, it was that year that I started smoking pot. I knew nothing of goodness. I knew nothing that was good about myself. I was told I was wrong. I don't know anything else about myself at this point except for I'm broken. I'm doing this on purpose. I'm some sort of sexual deviant. My brain has made me this way, and I'm causing this every day. Ooh. The self-harm at that time began to get outrageous. And this is where I'll talk about a system fail. Between the ages of 11 and 15, I made probably over 130 stitches in my body. Seeing the same doctors, McLaughlin Family Practice, going to the same emergency rooms, and having the same teachers in my life. Again, my parents were who they were. We had money. No one ever questioned what was going on in my home. No one ever questioned my parents. Ooh, folks, it was hard. I mean, I didn't even know anything about myself. I was a complete nothing. Every single night, I had insomnia from the time I can remember it, and night terrors since I was a little kid. And I don't recall having any sense of self ever. Ever anything that was like, oh, I think that might be good about it. I was smart. Thank God I was smart. I went to school. I never failed a grade. School was my safe place because I could be something else there. I could be who you were. I could be, and I had, everybody was my friend. Everybody. And I didn't like copy you, but I liked what you liked. And I told you that I liked that. And then I would find something around that, and I would find that. And I would be that person. But there was no sense of Angie. Ever. My parents, I mean, I got to 15 here. I went to school here. I'm honored to speak with Jason because we went to junior high school together. We've known each other for a long, long time. He's one of those people that when I came in was a beacon. I knew that it was going to be okay because I'd seen somebody. I knew him and a few other brothers in the program. Anyways, we left. I hated everything about myself. I knew I was awful. All the while, my parents were still telling me that all these mutilations are because I want attention. All these mutilations are because I'm sick. All these mutilations are because God thinks I'm awful. I'm doing these things to get money. No indication for help. No, nothing. Nothing. And so, therein began my truth that it was my fault. That all of that was made up in my head, that I had caused that I was disgusting, that I was nothing, that I would never be nothing. We moved from here when I was 15 years old to Mount Hood, Oregon. I don't know if you know Hood River, Mount Hood, Oregon, but it's not very big. And I had blue hair and piercings in 1992. You could still smoke in the high school. It was rampant. There's just rampant racism at that time. Even teachers participated in it. I finished the 9th grade being bullied every single day. No one fighting for me. No one pushing me. No one doing anything for me. I stopped going to school. And no one cared. No one said, you need to do this, you're going to get in trouble, or you're going to go to Job Corps, or you're going to go anywhere. No one cared. No one did. And I was drinking and smoking pot heavily. I mean, heavily. That way. And my parents actively participated in my drinking. They had no problem. Here, just get out of our face. Just don't bother us. We have money. Here, I'm giving you this money. You shouldn't be mad because you got money. My whole life, that was my thing. Why? How dare you treat us? You have money. You need to. They really didn't. I was invisible. I was completely invisible to them. Of course, I'm sure there are huge parts of that they did the very best they could. I work on that. I worked on that daily. Oh gosh. There was never, they never tried to intervene. There was never, we're worried about you. I don't know what's going on, but we're worried about you. At 17, my parents were just, I was too much of a problem for them, so they rented me an apartment here on Kaufman and 39th. They paid for it, so I'd get out of their hair, and I worked, I worked at TD's Pie House as a hostess for my drugs. And this was just pot and alcohol, at this point. But every single relationship I had ever had been sexually abusive, all of them. And again, I carried that for my own. It was mine, it was my fault. That's what I deserved, that's what I was supposed to have, that was normal. That's life. You don't expect anymore, you're causing this, you're awful. So that's what I knew. At some point, it was never going to work out down here in Vancouver, living on my own, just, whatever. So I couldn't maintain it. They wanted me to stay here, but I went back home. And, it was awful. They were telling me, you dropped out of school because you're a loser, you're disgusting, this is your fault, this is what they think, this is what now I know. My brain knows that they're right. I think I was 20 last time I self-harmed. I began to do other things like get tattoos and piercings to help myself with that, and that was my own stuff. No one helping me through that, but so I got married to a man I had met, and I was just looking for someone to love me because I knew my parents didn't love me, right? I knew I had to go, and I didn't really care if he really loved me, if he was a good guy. I was just getting married. I had met him, and I didn't marry him right away. I 7 years I dated him, and we got married in my church with my dad, and we went to Disneyland, and this is just to tell you my life was a fucking tragedy. So we went to Disneyland, we came back, he took me to this restaurant, sat me down and told me he was already married. And had a kid I didn't know about.
Oh, shit.
But he's okay, I'll stay, because he'll, that'll work out. I had a daughter with him, and he wasn't that abusive, I played that in my head for a long time, But what he also did was introduce me to narcotics. I was a pot smoker, and I drank a little bit, and he would tell me how awful I was because pot stunk, and he removed me from all the people that were in my life that were positive. He told me they were, he was jealous, so, you can't be that, you're sick, you're smoking pot, man, all those people smoke pot. But, we brought cocaine home, so I never tried it, so why don't we just offer that up? You never tried it, let's try it. So, therein begins my habit of narcotics, and I was very regulated. I didn't do anything without him until my parents had left Hood River. I was in Hood River. My parents had left. I came home one weekend. My parents had somebody who, they did clean their house, and her daughter did meth. I tried it. I liked it way more than cocaine. Then that didn't even work anymore for me. And I began to separate myself from that husband. And my kid was 3 years old. And that husband who starting my process down this path with narcotics, abandoned me and my child. Because I was using something else that he was not. And he got sober in the church. And I was awful. And I was disgusting. And he couldn't stay. He would abandon his own kid, but it was my fault. All this time, my family, they agreed. I was awful. I was disgusting. He was right to leave me. I was using like crazy. No one ever tried to help me. They didn't do an intervention. They didn't try to help me say anything until I started messing with their money. I began to steal and forward. I did this trick that my mom had been having me sign my dad's checks my whole life. She would get money out of his accounts and she would have me do it. And so I started doing that. It was easy for me. I knew how to do it. They cut all my money off. They didn't get me in trouble. They would pay my bills still, but they wouldn't let me have access to anything. And they would watch. Did they give me help? Did they offer help? Did they ask me if I want help? No. They didn't. It wasn't that much. It didn't matter. None of that mattered to them. They weren't. You know, all the while, I mean, the things that happen when we're addiction, you know, we put all of our morals to the side. We put all of our everything aside. It goes out the window. We do the things that we say we would never do. I still knew it was all my fault. All this, my choice. See, I have relatives who still don't believe in addiction. They think it's your choice, it's your fault still, and they'll tell you that. And you know what I do with those people? I send them the facts on addiction. That's it. So, I try not to deal with them. So, in 2002, deep in my addiction to meth, my dad, he got MRSA, and he died in 7 days. Went to his brain and his heart. My sister and my mom, knowing where I was, clearly could have found me, but chose not to even let me come say goodbye to my dad. For the 2 years after that, I don't remember anything. My higher power will let me have that back when I'm ready, but I don't remember those, and maybe he won't. Maybe I'm just gonna not have to do that stuff. And at the end of that, when I was at my lowest, I came home again. Again to, you can stay here, but only because you have your daughter, and we can't be the ones who says your daughter doesn't have anywhere to stay, but we don't love you, and we love her. These are just true, honest facts that my parents said to me, my mom said to me. So, they didn't do anything, I stayed there, you know, but I got access to their money. And they didn't ask me if I wanted intervention, they didn't ask me if I wanted help, they never pushed me to do anything different, to try anything different, to be anything different. They believed that I was like that because I was choosing to be. And so in turn, I believe I was like that because I was choosing to be. When I had taken too much money from them and they had no other alternatives, my mom pulled that check. Remember I was talking about years ago that I had forged? She pulled that check out and got me arrested for that check. So she could prove that I didn't sign it years ago. So, I had never been in trouble at this point, nothing. Never had any problem in my whole life. I was addicted, I was broken, and I was arrested in Clark County. I couldn't stay clean. They would expunge, I could have had my stuff expunged, just walk away, everything great. I couldn't stay clean. I couldn't do it. And thank God I couldn't do it. Because I got drug court. This is 2004, the third rotation of drug court through this county. I had to sit in Clark County's finest for 5 months, waiting for my bed date. Only. Because I couldn't stay clean, and thank God I didn't, because I would have died. But so I had to go into drug court. Drug court was really hard back then. I did 5 months in county, 4 months in rehab up in Spokane, PCE, the lockdown facility, barbed wire around it. I have no visitors. No one came to see me in jail. No one wrote me a letter. I have absolutely no one, but you know what I have now? I have drug court. This is my first inclination that there's a foundation of people that will love you right there. That will love you even though I know I'm awful. But they don't see that. They don't know that. They don't know anything about me, I think. I'm thinking, okay, how do I maintain this? How do I maintain that they don't find out? Well, they find out everything in drug court, man. They don't mess around, and they start to show me a way that is different. They let me and make me, force me, oh man. They forced me, I say, into meetings. Which, my very first meeting, and maybe some of you guys can relate, in this county, was 2004, Last Chance. I thought it was an Amish meeting. They said, you sit here, and you sit there, and don't talk, and be quiet, and I thought, oh my God, if this is it, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to freak out. I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I had to do it. I knew it would save my life. I knew that this was the only light I'd ever seen in my whole entire life. So, I found other meetings. I have gone, I did that. I graduated from drug court in 2005. It took me, oh my God, 24 months to get through drug court. I did everything. When I left drug court, and I'll tell you that I was in a rehab that was men and women, and that's where I met my person, who would later change my whole life and break me in ways that my parents had never broken me, but that's how I got to him. The reason I knew it was okay for him to do that in the beginning, because they told me that's what I deserved. And they told me that that was what I wanted.
8 minutes, Ange.
8? All right then. So let's talk about the outside coming out. I've done every kind of therapy you can ever think of. I have 2 daughters. I have 1 grandson who was born when my daughter was 14 because of her. I carried that. I did that all on my own. I've walked through that. The last 5 years I've done what my co-host over here was talking about, EMDR. It's a game changer. It does. You have to, and I'll probably be doing it for the rest of my life. The trauma that I received when I was held is beyond, it's like being a prisoner of war. I mean, and you have to go in and out of this station. But it changed the game. It changed the game and got me to a place where I could finally look at and say, maybe this wasn't my fault. Maybe I didn't do this. Maybe I can stand up and say, look, this is what happened to me, and I don't want to live with it alone anymore. And I did step study. Man, I've done step studies out of the flat book 8 times. But I never did a step study where I told my truth. And it changed the game of my life.
Fuck yes.
And I had finally not just brought the program into Angela, but I brought Angela
Yes.
to the NA program.
Yes, that's right.
So they can know me finally. And I stepped into service. Man, service is my game. It's my jam. I want you to feel love when you don't feel love. And I do that by stepping in the middle in the ways it's good for me. You know, I have a home group. I have sisters who fucking love me beyond.
Fuck yes.
I can't even know that they don't know the gift that they give me. I am an encourager at max level.
Yes, you are. Woo! That's right, baby.
Sorry, I really want to say. Oh.
Yeah. So much
Sorry.
flavor.
I'm lost. Here we go. Something I really wanted to say to everybody. I don't care what program you work. Just work the program. And I'll love you even when you're not working that program. I don't care what you choose to do, how you work it. I will love you. And if you're new here and you're struggling to find your sisters or your brothers, keep looking. They're here. And if you're old here and you got mental health issues you didn't know you had, because I have PTSD that kept me in the house for 2 years. Look, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And if those people around you are saying, you're hard to love. And it's hard to love you through this. Find other people.
That's right, baby.
Because it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to love what you're doing. And if they're not your people. But you'll find them. And if you can't find them, you come see me. I love you no matter fucking what.
Yes, you
I
are.
love you.